Hello, I'm Czardus. Grab some coffee, sit back, and chill as we take a look at City Skylines 1 Map Pack 4. So this is a great pack of maps by a friend, Uncle Ron. I met him in Finland recently, and he's great. But anyway, this pack, it has 10 maps, and they're all great. We're going to take a look at each one. First up is Badland Ridges, and I asked Uncle Ron to give me some insights into what he really wants to have the focus on in these maps. And this one, he said the map is built around the dry landscape and lusher valleys. The waterfall and the complex rail interchange are key points, but the focus is the easy build zone at the starting square with the grid. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And just for the sake of speeding this along, we're going to go right into the grid here. We're like skim right over here. And you can see this is the start square. And we've got a nice interchange here. By the way, this pack also comes with 10 interchanges, so that should be good. And you can find those interchanges by coming down to the roads menu and then go over here to content creator paths and sort by map pack 4. And then you can see these are the interchanges that come in the game, and we can take a look at several of those. The first one is this one right here, I believe. Oh no, this is a little different. Okay, well, we'll do this differently. We'll just take a look here at this interchange that we see on the screen. So it is nice. It comes up and it comes around like that. Well done, Ron. And over in here, we have a nice little grid, but also the rail. The rail is done magnificently. I'm a big fan of maps that have very level rail. You can see here, there was a little bit of grading done to get that rail to be nice and level. So then what we also have are these crop fields, and from up above they look really cool and very much realistic, where if you've ever been to the Southwest or even just the western part of the United States, you can see that they have sprinklers in the middle, and they have the sprinklers go around in a circle, and that is how they get that way. But I don't know if those are elsewhere in the world. But let's go ahead and take a look at a few things here. So first of all, water. Water flow is very nice and strong in the main river. It is not strong in the streams, which made sense. I mean, you would not see very much there, but you can actually see the water flowing. So I think here, even though it doesn't have the arrows to say that there's a lot of water flow, I think it's because there isn't very much water in there, but it is flowing nice and smooth there. And then let's check the natural resources on the map. Now, a lot of that was done where it was painted on, of course, the fertile land, but that works out well because then you're going to build your farms where those crop circles are. And then we also have ore and lots of oil on this map. So this one is pretty realistic, I think, in terms of all of that. Now, external connections, of course, you have the road, you've got the rail, you have air, but you don't have water. Finally, let's take a look at the terrain for this map. As you can see, we've got a nice valley here, a bit of a mesa over here, and that is also well done. And then there's also, this is the water comes up here and then comes down, creates a little valley. There's a nice waterfall there. And then it comes down this way. There must be a nice big waterfall here coming down the mesa as well. So anyway, that's this map. Let's move on to the next one. All right, and next up we have Midshire. Midshire, whatever. It's very similar to Midshire, by the way, my vanilla series that I had in City Skylines. But anyway, this one is based on a rolling hills landscape in the southern UK. There is field painting aplenty. You can see it looks beautiful. It looks so realistic. I love it when people do the field painting. Even though it makes the resources not as realistic, I think it really adds to the vibe of the thing. There is a large interchange dominating the highway network. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And supposedly there is Stonehenge somewhere on the map. I could not find it. If you find it, leave a comment and just say that you found it, and kind of have the bragging rights on that one. But anyway, this is the start square. And as you can see, we've got rail coming in here, nicely graded to have that be level. And then we have the road coming in here and leading to a castle. So there are other castles dotting the map, and I think they look great. Let's take a look at the highway interchange. Over here, we've got a nice roundabout interchange. That's the word I was looking for. And then here is the large interchange that we have here. It's a 4-stack, and it is very lovely. Well done, Ron, on that. Now let's take a look at a couple of the key things here. Water flow, of course. There is water flow. You can see the arrows. It's not super strong, but it is a big river, and the water is flowing in one direction. That's what we like to see. And then natural resources, like I said, it is heavily painted, but that means you've got lots of fertile land around to work with, and if you wanted to have a gravel pit or something like that, you could do that as well. And then, of course, terrain, which is somewhere around here. Here it is. And that is very flat, except for a little bit of rolling hills over this way. And so that is that. Moving on to the next one. Next up, we have Oxbow River. This is a classic landscape of the Rhine River in Germany. The Oxbow River weaves its way through this large agricultural landscape. And then there's also a lot of industry featuring, like right there, you can see a bit of a gravel pit or a quarry, as you might wish to call it. And then there's some cool interchanges there too. That was a nice little clover leaf there, kind of like a clover leaf. Not yeah, it was a clover leaf. But anyway, let's go ahead and get here to the start square. And right here we have a nice little area that you can start your city in. And you can see we've got the highway coming in here, and then a very simple interchange coming in. You'll probably need to upgrade that pretty quickly. But then we also have a bit of a castle area over here, historic area, and then a nice bridge as well. That might be another one that you may need to upgrade at some point, because this comes over and connects to the highway over here. Another very nice looking interchange here. A simple little trumpet there. Here's a larger trumpet with a nice a kind of decoration in there. I like that a lot. And then, of course, the big one, the clover leaf over here, it looks very nice. Now, taking a look at a few of the important things, we have water flow on the river. We've got this huge river here in the middle, and it goes by very well. Then you've got a couple of other rivers. This one actually goes around. It's the Oxbow of the river, and you can see that over time, perhaps the river weaved this way and then over here and this way and that way, but now it's kind of cut itself through into one main large channel. So that is how that works. Now, we also have natural resources. Not as much painting on this one. There is a lot of fertile land around the edges of the map, and then you've got forestry, you have oil in there, and ore as well. Primarily the oil, it looks like, was used to paint a little bit there as well. But then the terrain is very nice and flat, great buildable area in this one, and I think you will thoroughly enjoy building on this one. Moving on to the next one. Next up is Paradise Coast. This is a tropical map full of small coves and beaches and tropical islands. It is a challenging map with limited building space, but plenty of coastal access, and it is very pretty to look at. You can see there is a little bit of painting there, but really a lot of it for me on this one is that coastline. It's very jagged, and like I said earlier, it has a lot of coves that you can really build in, or like kind of focus on with maybe some small towns or beach towns and stuff like that. The start square is over here, and you can see we've got maybe this little circular road around here. It looks like it might be a one-way as well, but it comes in. We've got the highway here, a little roundabout, and then it goes in that way. And then there is a little bit of a ruin there as well. But you can see there is a bit of an opportunity to build nice in there. Now, features on this map, we can come around this way, and the highway is a great looking thing. Here you've got a rail access going off the map and coming together and getting into a little bit. Now the highway comes around and loops this way as well, and then makes its way back this way. This is a nice tight highway going up the hill a little bit and then making its way up the mountain and then over through the middle of the island and then over this way to a nice interchange here. And then, of course, looping back down that way, a bit of an elevation there, but then it goes off the map over in that direction, and over this way, it makes its way back to the start square. Looking at water, of course, there are no rivers on this map. It is an island, and so your water will be solely based on the ocean. Resources, you have a little bit of painting, but you have some nice fertile land on the interior of the island, and then you've got a lot of trees, you've got some offshore oil that you might be able to exploit, stuff like that. Terrain is the key here. You've got a nice big buildable area in this area, and then you have other spots, like I said, that you might want to build smaller settlements in the different coves. And then, of course, there's this area here as well. If you're playing with mods, 81 tiles plus is the one to use to get all of the tiles available. Taking a look really quick at the shipping routes, because it is an island, that is a pretty key feature. We've got a shipping route coming over here and a hint here that this should be where you put your port, which makes sense because the shipping route was right there. Let's take a look again. Are there any others? There is another one over here, so you could get a port over on this side as well. But that is this one. Moving on to the next one. Okay, and now we have Pine Lakes. This is a boreal map. It could be Norway or it could be Patagonia. Which one do you think it is? Leave a comment. But this one is a mountain setting, and it has a great mountain here. You can see it coming into the screen now, and it really looks great when you're really low and like in the town area looking around. But it also has some beautiful highway building and this nice fjord, or I don't know what they call it in Patagonia, I'm sorry, but kind of the same idea, a fjord. Maybe they call it that there too. But anyway, here's the start square, and you can see we've got the highway going right through the center. We have rail, which is always helpful as well. And then we've got some dirt roads that go out this way, kind of to just decorate the map a little bit. And then over here, we have a little bit more, also a hint that, maybe this would be a good spot to build your town, because there used to be a village here, and maybe you're coming back and you're the developer building it back up. Now, the rail is beautiful in this map. It, of course, is a challenge to get rail to look good on mountains, but it does. It curves around that way. It comes up here. It curves back, makes its way up the hill even more. It splits a little bit, and then it comes over here as well. But my favorite part of the rail, and actually we've got a train going this way right now into a nice little lake there. My favorite part of the rail, though, is this right here. A loop to get down a little bit more. So it comes around here, and then it loops down. Now, I don't know how often these take place in real life, mainly because I grew up in the Midwest of the United States, where it is completely flat. And even though we have a ton of railroads, we don't have stuff like this. But I know in model railroads, this is a common thing. And so the helix like that is pretty cool. And let's take a look at a few things. Water. We have this area in here. There is a water spawner here to help keep the water flowing out of the start square area, which is very useful. Then natural resources. We have a lot of fertile land around the start square. And then if you get a little further away, you've got a lot of forestry, but you have to choose between forestry or ore, because the ore was painted on in order, that's the phrase I'm looking for, in order to get a nice color there. But then there's also a little bit of oil as well. Terrain, we have some big mountains, like I said, and you can see when you're down here, it looks really pretty around. And so it's a nice thing to look at. And then that's it, actually. Ship connections, you have nothing. I mean, oh no, you do have a ship connection here. And so the ship connection comes in here, and you can get a port. And then, of course, there's rail and road and air as well. But anyway, next one. Next, we have Rock Valley. This is another boreal map, but this one has a large river going through it. And you can imagine that this is a valley between some mountain ranges. And a town develops here because settlers come in and they create their farms, and then they build a town. And there are a couple of really cool things on this map that I want to show you, but you can get a nice look here. The river work is outstanding. That's really what I am really excited about on here, and I'll show you why in a minute. But let's go and take a look at the start square. Here we are, and you can see there isn't too much in here. You've got the road coming in here with a nice roundabout to get you started, and then a couple roads going off, and then over here you've got a little bit of ruins to build around, or like have as a tourist thing as well. You have a lot of trees around there that you can work to build with, and then you've got the water flow as well. The road comes out this way and has a nice interchange there. And then, of course, a roundabout on the other side. And coming this way, we also have nothing, actually, on that side. This side, we have the pretty basic interchange here. And then it goes off over this way. We've got a nice little trumpet here. And then it makes its way through. So there's a lot of highways that you can work with and really build throughout this valley as well. Now, taking a look at the key features here, we have water flow in the river. It makes its way through, and that is great. It has a nice strong flow at the start square. Resources, you have, again, you have to choose in some spots between trees or ore, but you do have a little bit of ore here and a little bit here, and you could probably get something over here without really interfering with some of your forest production. You also have fertile land and a little bit of oil as well. And then terrain, we've got some mountains around the edges, but you have a very large space that you can build your city in. Now, those rivers, I was over, I think, over here, and I zoomed in way down here, and it got me wanting, let's see, that's as far as I can get, but it got me really wanting to be here and go fishing. Like, I can just imagine fishing here, and the water is a little bit strong for fishing, probably. I actually don't know all that much about fishing. I haven't gone since a long time ago, but it just looks like a pretty spot to stand and fish a bit. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. And next up, you've heard of Liechtenstein, but this is Ronstein, named presumably after Uncle Ron, who created this pack. But anyway, this, Ron says, is his favorite. He's tried to combine many bits of Switzerland into one map, and the city is located, we're going to come into the start square in a minute, but there's a couple of rivers that come together, and then there's these big lakes that it does feel, I haven't been to Switzerland, but I have been to the North Italy, the lakes region, and very, very close to Switzerland, and it does feel a bit like that. And the castle in particular, take a look at this. This is incredible work with vanilla. And so you've got this path coming up, right? Weaves up the hill. Got some nice, pretty wildflowers along the way. Comes up here, and then meanders around. You've got a nice stone wall coming around, and then you get up here, and this is stunning right here. Like, I don't think I've seen this done in vanilla here. It's a beautiful use of a nice dirt bridge here, and then the towers around it, crossing a nice ravine with really nice rock work there as well. And then a castle. The castle itself is pretty standard for vanilla castles. But then on the other side, you also have this beautiful looking vineyard, and it looks very realistic. I'm very, impressed with this castle. I like it a lot. Anyway, the start square, you can see you've got a lot of flat land in here to work with and lots of great space for a city. I could see a very nice city developing up here. Water flow. You do have water flow going through this little stream. It kind of, I think, stops in here. It flows out a little bit, but you might have some water issues if you release your sewage into there. If you put it here, then it's going to definitely go through your river and go down there. So if you have to get water, definitely draw it from over here. I think really what you're going to need to do is water towers on this map, which I highly recommend. I usually played that way when I played City Skylines 1. Natural resources, you've got a bit of oil used to probably paint a little bit of the bottom of the lakes, but also can get a little bit of offshore oil up there, maybe up in the hills a little bit too. You've got fertile land along around the outside of the starting square, lots of trees and ore as well. Terrain, once again, a huge flat space in here that you have to build with, and it looks great. I think the terrain, the main features that you're going to want to work with when you're building and respecting the terrain a little bit is the lakes on each side, and then you've got a hill here with the forest, and then of course the hill is over there. So great map all around. Let's move on. Next up, we have one that if you love flat land when you're building in City Skylines, this map is the one for you. We have Starfort Delta, and you can see the giant star fort there in the center. I really like star forts. I think they're really cool. I hope to one day get to Quebec City so that I can see the one there, but a lot of this is really stunning, the way that Ron put together this star fort. But that's really the biggest part of this map, is that star fort. This is a reimagining of his Owlmere map that he had on the Steam Workshop, and you can see that it has some improvements and a little bit more detail work, I think. But anyway, so in here, we can see the start square here, and you've got a nice road coming along here. That is a nice hint that you can build along in there, and you've got two interchanges right there. Actually, I mean, you've got this massive third one as well, but that really is just the two highways interchanging. But here, you've got this one coming in here and feeding this part of the city, and then this one feeding this side. And so you have a lot of options. You also have this road going off this way to build out in that area, and this one can continue out here. Now, the star fort, when you come a bit closer, it's not quite a star, but it does work a lot with what the terrain has, or like the area. You can imagine like maybe they would bring their boats in here or something, but yeah, it also is a nice little moat. But that is the star fort. It looks really cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at the key things here. We've got the water flow coming off of the start square, goes off this direction, and no, actually it is flowing into the start square. So you don't have, and now here it's flowing the other way. So yeah, there is not a ton of water flow in that starting square. So you have to be careful with your water on this map. But you do have a source over here that you can draw from, and then you could put it out in here. If you get to the river has a pretty good flow for the most part. I mean, it continues to move, but yeah, it is pretty flat and not moving all that much, primarily presumably because this map is so flat. But anyway, you've got oil in the river that is painted on to get that river bottom, and then you've got fertile land around. You have a bit of trees as well. Not a ton of ore to work with there is under these trees, but you've also just got a couple of spots on the map itself. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Terrain-wise, again, it is pretty much entirely flat. Now, we do have a coast here, and so we have a ship path here that comes out this way. You could get your port over here, which I think is probably what this hint is as well. A little bit here, you've got kind of the look of a little bit of a port in there as well. Moving on. Next up, we have Sunny Keys. This is a tropical map again, and it is really focused on the Caribbean. It's extremely flat, and I would be scared to live here because of hurricanes, but also like just in general, the like flatness of it around the water. I don't want to live there, but I think a city could be beautiful here. Let's not get me wrong there. It would be very pretty. And this one, you might have noticed that interchange. We're going to take a closer look at it here in just a second. Here's the start square, and you have the rail coming right through the middle. And then you also have the highway coming in right over here and then coming down that way. And that gives you a nice space to get a really beautiful beachfront road here with a nice paradise of a location as well. Now, that interchange. This is incredible work by Ron. It is a turbine interchange, and it was done completely in vanilla, and it is really cool and very, very well done. But anyway, the map itself has lots of meandering coves and stuff like that. I could imagine like huge city being built here, or you could just have lots of little towns and then dot the inside with some rural stuff as well. I think there's a lot of potential for this map. Water-wise, you have a source in here. It looks like it's coming out here, and maybe you have a down source here to get that flow going so that you can actually have your water in that area. But also then you have the ocean, which if you put it in the ocean, it won't go away very easily because that is very flat. And of course, just the sea. Now, natural resources. Around your start square, you've got a lot of fertile land. You have some ore and trees and a lot of offshore oil on this map. So keep that in mind as well. Terrain-wise, completely flat. I mean, there's a little bit of hill, but not much at all. And then the ship path comes in here, so you can get probably a cruise harbor over in here. And then you've also got ship paths there and over here, maybe an industrial center over on this side, and a actual touristy side on that end of the map. So that is that. Let's take a look on this one at fish as well. You've got a lot of fish, not of big variety actually. You've got shellfish and anchovies, a tiny bit of salmon, interestingly, in that one lake there, but other than that, there isn't much. It's not deep enough for tuna, except for in this one spot here. Do we have water flow? Yeah, you've got a source there. That's why you've got a little bit of tuna in there, but that's one thing to keep in mind as well. You have a little bit of fishing in here. And last but not least, we have Victory Harbor. Now, this one took inspiration from Japan and Korea, and you can see that it is designed to have a massive city clustered into these small pockets of valleys or flat areas, and you could have a nice big harbor in there as well. The focus will be on that Japanese castle you can kind of see on the top left of the screen right now. But also, it's just a beautiful map with lots of mountains, good terrain work on the mountains, and the trees lines on those hills I appreciate as well. Here is the starting square. You can see the highway comes through here, and then you've got a couple really basic interchanges here, a little bit of a diamond there, and then this one is a bit fancier. You've got a bit of, I don't really know what to call it, but you come around this way, and then you also can come and join that way. Yeah, I see how that is set up, but also a very pretty, a bit of cherry trees and stuff like that in here, coming into your nice road. And then, of course, you've got the Japanese castle here, which is the showcase of the map. And then you have an elevated rail going through your city here. So presumably you're going to build up your city here, and you'll have that rail coming along here just to keep it away from all the people that are going to be living in your city. Perhaps you'll bring it down in some spots to have stations and whatnot, but you do have this nice big area for your coastal stuff as well. Now, water on the map itself, or in the start square, you do have a bit of flow, so you could get your water drawing out this way, and let it out here, and you should be okay with that as well. Now, natural resources. You've got a lot of fertile land around there, but it's pretty much where you will want to build your city. And then we also have lots of trees and or you've got lots of offshore oil as well. Terrain-wise, again, it's very flat in these couple of spots, and that's pretty much where you'll want to build. Probably not much on the hills, but let's take a look really quick at the road. You can see there's a lot of rail work along the hills and stuff like that, but this road also, this highway, goes up into the mountain and it switches back and forth, and it looks nice and pretty as well. Now, if you've got to this point and you are not a subscriber, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I do other stuff like this often, and I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Take care.